I have to say the attitude here on campus has been depressed, very upset. Vermont cast its votes for Hillary Clinton. It was the first state to announce it, Mrs. Clinton, and it really has been one of the first states to announce the Democratic candidates in recent years. So from that standpoint, there's a hope that she would win. And all of the polls seem to indicate that was the case. And you get the upshot of the New York Times and sort of 538.com, and so these leading Real Clear Politics and so forth all indicated that she was ahead in the polls, and that she had pretty much locked up the nomination. Some people were saying 90+% that she was going to get the win and win the election. And so as we were watching it on television, I was actually at Fox 44 in the studio, so I had all of the TVs in front of me: CNN, Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS. So I was watching each of the stations start calling the race, and I was watching CNN not wanting to call Florida because they knew that once Florida was called, the election was pretty much over. So yes, my colleagues who were really hoping and praying that she would win were quite depressed. I thought she was going to lose. Number of reasons. I'd seen her campaign in 2008 against Barack Obama. She was the wife of the president. She had been a successful U.S. senator. She had all the money, all the name recognition, yet she couldn't defeat a senator who had only been U.S. senator for 3 years. So I knew that she had difficulty. During the primary, she couldn't, run against a 74-year-old Jewish socialist from the second smallest state in the Union. She lost 22 states to him. So I knew she was a dreadful campaigner, and that she had to go all out to campaign. So as I was watching the campaign, after she came out of the convention with a sizable lead, 7.5 to 8 point lead, she took the entire month of August off. And what did she do? She went to the Hamptons. She went out to Martha's Vineyard. She went out to Aspen to hang out with her rich friends, in anticipation that she was going to win the presidency, and she was going to run out the clock, just sort of coast into it. And I said, this is not what you do. And Trump just campaigned, crazy as he was, but nevertheless he never stopped campaigning. And so when she finally wakes up to the fact that she's going to have to campaign, then we had the 3 debates. Now she won all 3 debates because she's very, very smart, and he's of course very unfocused. But she won all 3 debates. Now she's got her lead back, not as big as it was, but a lead. But she took 9 days off between before the 3rd debate, which in my mind raised questions about the stamina questions that Donald Trump was raising about her in terms of her age and in terms of her health. So I thought there was a kernel of truth in that, and that was bothersome to me. So then she gets the lead back, and then we have the Comey announcement. At that point it was over, because I knew what that would do. The fact that there was nothing to it, the fact that it had nothing to do with her, that it had everything to do with her an assistant, Huma Abedin, who she remains incredibly loyal to for no particular discernible reason I can see. She and whose husband is clearly a sex deviant, and who's now, this is his 3rd episode of these particular internet flashes of himself. And she didn't get rid of Huma, and she very well could have. Lyndon Johnson, in 1964, his chief of staff, a man named Walter Jenkins, was arrested, in a YMCA, a homosexual episode. Lyndon Johnson fired him on the spot, so he wouldn't, impact the race. She, with her misguided sense of loyalty, hung on to Huma, and it cost her. I mean, this was the 3rd episode of Mr. Weiner. And that's what that's when they got her laptop, and of course they found nothing on the laptop that was new. It was all they already reviewed. That's why they went through it so quickly. But the damage was done, and then when Comey decides to say nothing is there, it was much too late, and the momentum had shifted to Obama. It shifted to Trump, and she was toast. And It's sad, but nevertheless, I think that we finally bring the curtain down on the Clintons. And the Clintons, you have a middle class, well educated, a young woman from Illinois and a poor boy from Arkansas, who basically, gained the presidency in 1992. And Bill Clinton had a fantasy, and it was Billy for 8 years, Hillary for 8 years. And that's why we suspect she stuck with him through the sex scandals. That this is what she knew, that she still. The only way she was going to win the presidency was he was the horse she had to ride, and that was the plan. And it fell, and fell apart. And as I told my colleagues here, much to the quite irritation, I said she can snatch defeat from victory. We saw her do it in 2008, and she did it again. So it's now over. The curtain has come down on the Clintons, and it's an unfortunate legacy. And it's a very important lesson to be learned. And Dave Moranis, who writes for the Washington Post, wrote a wonderful book on Bill Clinton called First in His Class. Said the Clintons forgot where they came from. And one of my heroes, Tip O'Neill, Speaker of the House, we're talking about Ronald Reagan, and he said Reagan forgot where he came from. He was a poor boy from Illinois, went off to Hollywood, got captured by the glitz and glamour. And Tip, came a poor boy, Irish kid from Cambridge, Mass. Never forgot. Bill forgot where he came from, and it was the poor folk in Arkansas, the rural white folk in Arkansas, who were his people. Those are the people who voted for Donald Trump, and those are the people that they lost, and those are the people that they could not reach.
Yeah, so what do you think the future is for Democrats at all?
Well, they're going to have to clean up their act. They're going to have, I'm not happy. Bernie is supporting this Keith Ellison, the DNC chair. Keith is a Muslim. Bernie. The Democrats don't need to be further away from, mainstream America than they already are. And I think this Keith, but Ellison was the first member of Congress to endorse Bernie's candidacy, so he feels a certain degree of loyalty. Now, Howard Dean, a former governor, wants it, but Howard, that's old news. Your time, the ship has sailed, and that's not going to happen again. But that's what I'm concerned about, is that the Democrats will continue to place themselves further and further out of the mainstream, and further make, white, rural, angry America continue to be angry and support Trump, who is manifestly qualified to be president of the United States, and has turned this cabinet selection process into a reality show. And should he name Sarah Palin, God, arguably the stupidest person who's ever run for major office. This is a woman who went to 5 colleges 6 times to get 1 degree in political science, sad to say. And to put her in the cabinet will just indicate what a farce this whole process has become. That's really all about ink and airtime, and that's really all. And he's obsessed with that, ink and airtime. And this is, we have, every president has strong ego. Some verge into egomania, I say Lyndon Johnson, but this guy is off the charts. And there's nothing he finds of interest apart from himself and his family, sad to say. So let's hope he doesn't get us into a war, and that we can survive these years. And the Democrats have basically got to really look at themselves long and hard and stop worrying about collecting money from lobbyists in Wall Street, and go back to the folk who they presumably have been hired and elected to represent, and listen to them, as they weren't listening to them in this last election.
That's great information. Thank you so much.
Okay, sure.